completed about 3 weeks ago. It's called The Last Rifleman. Pierce Brosnan was spotted about Belfast for about 10 weeks, going into different restaurants all about the city. He is the lead character to get a taxi to rejoin the group. Not ideal. The easiest way is to stick to the timings. They are designed to give you as long as possible in each location. And just to clear this up, folks, because this happened to be 2 weeks ago. This first location, leaving time this particular morning was 9:15. I had a couple turned up at 9:15. Not a problem. They took their full time, not an issue. But at that point, the lady stood inside the post. At that point, you'll see this large jetty, where they load the salt, head off to England, Scotland and Wales. And if you look directly to your front, you can now see the Scottish coastline. This just gives it a good indication that visibility salmon has particular relevance to the rope bridge. They wouldn't tell you. Well, when everyone got out to the rope bridge, they had a big steel gate across the entrance. You couldn't even see the rope bridge. At all. That is the spoil heap from this quarry. It's an environmental disaster. The idea was anything they couldn't use from the quarry was to be dumped into Larne Loch. At hand, the centre of it. The six-pointed star represents the 6 counties of Northern Ireland, and the right red hand is a symbol for this point. Hey guys, way up ahead of us on top of the hill to our front is a large light, nearly directly to our right. You can see what I describe as our 2 submarines lying off our coast here. These aren't submarines at all. They're actually 2 small islands called the Maidens. Each has a lighthouse on them. But the Luftwaffe here during the Blitz believed these to be submarines and bombed the living daylights out of this area. Just 2 small islands. And normally at this point, folks, I would say, note how calm the sea is. The sea is not calm today. This first part of our journey is the Irish Sea. When we get down towards the Giant's Causeway, it changes to the Atlantic. You do expect waves like this down at that point, not here. The Irish Sea normally sits nice and flat. This just tells me we're in for a bit of stormy weather. I've had that confirmed to me by the lady this morning I picked up. Apparently we're getting a storm tomorrow, so that's what this tells you. When you see it quite choppy like this, either strong winds or a bit of a storm is going to happen. I think we're in for a storm tomorrow, so I believe. And a little archway up ahead. It's known as the Black Arch, or the gateway to the Glens. Within our own country. This road changed everyone's lives here. Continuous flow round our coast. The road itself has not changed, apart from the fact of tarmac being put down on the surface. It was originally designed for horse and cart. Nowadays we're bringing 40 feet long coaches down through here. There is a certain part of this route our vehicles do not fit. There's a certain part of the route we have to cross to the other side of the road just to miss the overhanging rock. Alright folks, you may notice today I'm across the white line quite a lot. There's a couple of red lines so much because it's quite enjoyable. I'm getting massaged as we drive down here, so why not? Perks of the job, as they say. You can see the edge line here as well, folks. Just not trimmed high enough for the bigger vehicles. I did one of our first trips down here after the first lockdown. I have to say it's the most challenging journey I've had here to date. Edgeline location, that's where I take the order for the food. At that point as well, that's where we should have the guys who join us from Dublin. Alright, 2 hills to our front. This left-hand hill Episode 1, Season 1 of Game of Thrones. So at the top of that hill, Ned Stark executes a deserter from the men of the Night's Watch. Only time it was used. Now way up ahead of us you can see a white structure with a concrete coloured part this side. Galley Castle Hotel. The original castle, the concrete coloured part, was built in 1625. And Uncle Lord James Shaw, he wanted an heir, a son. But his wife gave him a baby girl, so he locked her up in the tower of the castle and starved her. In her frustration, she tried to escape, but ended up jumping to her death. It is said that Lady Isabella Shaw walks the hallways, the corridors of this hotel at night, knocking people's room doors. The Ballygally Castle Hotel is meant to be one of the most and the castle itself is over this stone wall to your left. Very difficult to see it now because all the leaves are back on the trees again. That's the home to the 10th Earl of Antrim, Alexander MacDonald. And you'll hear more of the MacDonalds later. Coming up on her left, pale blue building. It's a former, because she ends up here. She comes up white stone steps. You'll be able to see these in Cornlock. Now our Game of Thrones location's on the right hand side of the road. Directly opposite it, the little Spar supermarket. We go round the back of the Spar supermarket, normally into their car park. We'll not get into their car park today, I don't believe. We're second bus. But the little car park is where the bathroom facilities are at. Remembering guys, the next location does not have bathrooms. You need to use a mirror before coming back to the vehicle, please. And the little Spar is where you get teas, coffees, soft drinks, and of course your sandwiches. And it is the only place you can get sandwiches if that's what you want for your lunch break today, folks. As I've already said, when you do come back on board at this location, that's where I take everybody's order for the food at the Fullerton Arms. Once again, it is the only place you can order the food. So if you can have your order ready when you're coming back to the vehicle, please. I'll speed the process up a little bit. As I've already said as well, this is where we get our realtors passengers, the guys that's coming up from Dublin. I'm going to try and time this just right, that when they arrive, we get going. They'll use the bathrooms and then jump on board and we'll get going again. But just getting them here at the right time is a big problem. I'm going to give it slightly longer here with the anticipation that they do come back just at an exact time, so then we can move on. We don't waste too much time. Now this is where the dynamics of things change. Up until this point, it's been a mostly unionist area. From here on down, it'll become a now mostly nationalist area. Just up here along the right-hand side, you'll see the flag of the Irish Republic, the tricolour. That's all this tells you. Mostly nationalist area. Now, anyone recognise this first flag that's coming up? Red, green, white and black. Anyone recognise that flag? The Palestinian flag. What you find here, one community will support Palestine, the other will support Israel. They can't agree on anything. And you can see yellow and white flags here. These are all to do with Gaelic games. I'll explain a little bit more about these Gaelic games when we head back in towards the town of Cushendall. We talk about this a little bit. It takes us into a little village called Waterfoot. I have a big favour to ask. My granny lives in Waterfoot. She's 93 years old. The only joy she gets these days is when she knows I'm working. She likes to wave at the buses on the way past. Quite embarrassing, but what can you do? Granny is granny. So if you wouldn't mind, folks, it'll be number 37 along the left-hand side of the road. It's a greeny blue door. Granny's usually up the top right-hand window. She likes to see us as we pass. I did phone her when we were back in Cornlock, so she is expecting us to come past. So if you could give her a little wave, please. Say it does keep me in her good books. Well, let's see if we can spot this waterfall first. Lethal. The police got on to what she was doing, told her she couldn't sell the pudgy. They came back 3 weeks later, she was still selling it, and what she said was, I'm not selling the pudgy, I'm selling the water and giving the pudgy for free. That's how she got round the police. Quite smart. And the bay to her right is known as the Red Bay. Just up ahead of us, we'll go through this in a moment. There's a little archway, it's no Red Fort, destroyed by Cromwell's forces 1642. And we're just about to come into the town of Cushendall. Cushendall will be another 6 or 7 minutes from here. Have you all heard of the actor Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't come from here. But his sister does. Liam comes from the town of Ballymena. We passed by there on the way back to Belfast later. Anytime he's across, it's always here that he stays. His sister owns a pub in this town. He can walk about here quite freely. He doesn't get hunted down by autograph seekers.